Okay. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming this morning. We have a major development in a cold case from about 31 years ago. I'd like to introduce Lieutenant John Strauser, Pickaway County Sheriff's Office. He's going to brief you on the investigation.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everybody. As Sheriff Hafey previously stated, my name is Lieutenant John Strauser. I'm with the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office here in CIRCLEVILLE. We would like to thank all of you for coming here today and hearing how we obtained the identity of the skeletal remains that we located in Pickaway County in 1991, 31 years ago. On November 1st, 1991, skeletal remains were found by a pair of hunters located along a private farm lane on the north side of State Route 56, just west of State Route 159 in Pickaway County. The skeletal remains were initially believed to be a female due to the small stature. She was believed to be, or it was believed to be 5'1" and 5'4" and approximately 25 years of age. Since 1991, investigators from the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office, including Lieutenant Dale Parrish, who's in the room today, have collaborated with many different agencies to gain information on this case. I'm going to read to you some of the agencies. Pickaway County Coroner's Office, Dr. Michael Guerin, Dr. John Ellis, the Ohio State Department of Anthropology, Dr. Elizabeth Murray from Mount St. Joseph University, Dr. Michelle Yezo, Kristen Slaper from BCI, Dr. Neil Haskell from the Purdue University, the Analytical Genetic Testing Center, Cellmark Diagnostic Laboratories, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. In 2012, the bones were examined by scientists at the North Texas University. That is when they extracted DNA and they discovered the Y chromosome, which made it a male. Additionally, it is noted that the individual may have had an ancestry originated from the Indian subcontinent. In 2021, Coroner Dr. Ellis and I got together. We had a couple meetings and we decided it was time to pursue genetic genealogy. In January of 2022, this year, we contracted with Advanced DNA with the goal of restoring the identity of the man and solving this 30-year-old mystery. And this is when we had the pleasure of getting to work with Amanda Reno of Advanced DNA. At this point in time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to the Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, who has some remarks about the case.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome. You know, the first thing is to congratulate everybody involved with this. The fact of the matter is a cold case is not a closed case, and I have such high regard for the investigators, the scientists, the people that have worked on this for 31 years, not giving up, not saying, well, there's just nothing we can do. Those of you who never gave up hope, Detective Parrish, thank you. It's so cool to see the former coroner here, the former sheriff, and the former Sheriff Radcliffe. I imagine your dad is looking down going, they finally figured it out. I wish he could be here today. But Coroner Ellis and Guerin, congratulations to you too. This is a case about science advancing. DNA gets better all the time. In 1991, you couldn't get DNA out of bones. That required a later advancement called mitochondrial DNA. And I'm proud to say that BCI is one of the few places in America, a few state crime labs, that's actually competent and certified to do mitochondrial DNA. But even that wasn't enough. because for a lot of years, the only thing that was available was criminal databases for DNA. So, you know, if you're decedent, if you're John Doe, your unknown is a person who committed a crime, that's great. They might be in CODIS, in the database. But if not, DNA does you no good at all. You've got to have something to compare it to. Well, recent developments in DNA science, including the ability to expand partial profiles and better amplification techniques, et cetera, combined with commercially available DNA, you know, people who haven't committed a crime but have submitted a DNA sample to find out what their ancestry is, provides another link here. And advanced DNA was that link. This is where we finally had pay dirt. 2 points to make, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Sheriff Hafey. Congratulations again. The first is law enforcement's a team effort. Make no mistake about it, the sheriff, Pickaway County, is the lead on this case. They're the tip of the spear. But the bottom line is that all of us that are in law enforcement in one way or another are working on the same team. We all have to work together in order to get to a conclusion, in order to sign a case closed, in order to get to a place of justice. The other thing, I was thinking about this case in particular. 31 Christmases have come and gone. And I was thinking about a headstone with no name on it. We're all going to die at some point. It's the one thing that's certain about our lives on this earth. But what a tragedy to die unknown, to not have a name to put on the memorial. Today, that circle closes, and that's the first step on the rest of justice. We know from the nature of the crime scene that this may have been a homicide, and now the detectives have the new information that's going to allow them to go out and do what they do best: hit the streets, put the pieces together, look at the final days of Mr. Mullins' life, and find out who did this to him. Because that person is probably still out there. And everybody that's worked on this case, from the folks that have retired to the people that are currently carrying a badge, every one of them wants to take that guy off the street and hold him accountable. BCI Sheriff is ready to help you in any way you need. Thank you for leading.
Now we will have Amanda Reno from Advanced DNA get up here and speak, and she's going to tell us basically how we got from J to Z. I explained how we got the cold case, what led us to the beginning of this year, and she's going to connect the dots and tell you how she got to and how we identified Mr. Mullins.
In January of this year, Advanced DNA began partnering with the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office, the Coroner's Office, as well as BCI, in an effort to restore the name of an unidentified man. Our team uploaded the profile to GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA databases. Across the next 9 months, we built an expansive family tree containing over 4,000 people. Our research stretched into Virginia, Kentucky, Canada, and all the way to England. Along the way, we had the help of many distant cousins, relatives of the unidentified man, who offered their hours of their own time and their own research to help. They would check in regularly, hopeful for updates in his case. Through our research, we were able to develop a specific profile for the individual. We needed a father with deep roots in Virginia and a mother with immediate connections to England and India. On November 1st, 2022, coincidentally, exactly 31 years to the day that his remains were discovered, I met with the Pickaway County the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office and coroner to provide a lead that our team had developed. The remains belonged to Robert Mullins of Columbus, Ohio. Across the following weeks, we discovered that after Robert's sudden disappearance, his family looked for him, especially his late mother. His family explained his absence had been a great source of pain for their family. He was loved and he was missed. Genetic genealogy is a powerful tool for reuniting families and opening the door for justice. Every lead is made possible by private citizens who choose to participate in direct-to-consumer testing and a dedicated team of researchers in pursuit of answers. Robert's case is one of many Ohio cases that have been solved recently using genetic genealogy. And as an Ohioan, I am proud of the dedication of the agencies across the state who are exploring this tool. I encourage you to consider DNA testing yourselves and uploading to GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA to support other pending cases. Today's discovery that Robert's name has been restored and will hopefully provide an opportunity for justice and also answers in his untimely death. Thank you.
In closing, we would like to thank the Pickaway County Commissioners for funding this investigation throughout the years and to further genetic testing and so forth. I'd like to thank Sheriff Hafey for allowing us to continue this investigation. Retired Sheriff Dwight E. Radcliffe, retired Sheriff Robert Radcliffe, who's here, Lieutenant Dale Parrish, who I already stated is here, Dr. Michael Guerin, and the rest of the doctors, scientists, investigators who have not given up on this case. We would also like to thank Robert's genetic relative matches who volunteered their time, family information. Robert was a distant cousin to them. Despite being someone they had never met, each of these relatives plays a key role in bringing him home to his family, and we have been in contact with them throughout this entire time since January of 2022. We would also like to thank Christopher, his nephew, who's here with us today, and also his brother David, who's also here with us today. Thank you guys both for coming and attending this. In the original press release that Sheriff Dwight E. Radcliffe wrote on November 21st of 1991, he talked about all of us in law enforcement being duty-bound police officers. He talked about determining the person's identity and their demise. That really hit home with me because this is just the beginning, guys. Normally when you have a heinous crime, we know who the person is or possibly the next day at an autopsy. It's taken us 31 years to get to that point. With that being said, this is still an active case. We are urging anyone with information of what could have happened to Robert Mullins to please contact me at the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office at 740-474-2176. We're going to go ahead and open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free. We're going to be here to answer questions.
I'd just like to take the time. He was my youngest brother. Just to draw for looking out for my brother, finding out, standing up my mom, but I believe in heaven. I believe he's there with them right now. But thank you all for working on this case and figuring it out for us. God bless you for doing so.
Thank you so much for those kind words. Thank you. And if anybody from the media has any questions for any of the people that's worked on it for much longer than us, Lieutenant Parrish, Dr. Guerin, Dr. Ellis, Sheriff Radcliffe, who was there on scene when he was working in the crime lab at the time in 1991. thank you guys for coming. Go ahead, Stephen, go ahead.
I don't know how many unsolved cases and how many like this Pickaway County has, but is this the only one? And if not, how was this a case that you chose to kind of invest the time into?
To be honest, because Lieutenant Parrish, when he retired, told me he'd come back and haunt me if I didn't stay on top of it, to be truthful. No, but in all seriousness, before Lieutenant Parrish retired, we discussed it a handful of times, and shortly thereafter, Dr. Ellis and I, as we stated, had met a couple times, and that's when we decided to go with advanced DNA and try this genealogical testing and stuff. Yes, sir. Yes, we can, absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming.